here's Brody Brazil.
You know, it's amazing because I feel like I've watched as much NFL football in the last 2 seasons as I did in the prior 10 total. It's amazing what all of a sudden having a fantasy football team will do for your viewing habits and being in a fun neighborhood dads league like I am. But I just want to say, in watching a lot more football lately, the production quality, the presentation, the overall product that you're seeing across the various different networks between CBS and NBC, and even when YouTube does a game or that Thursday night Amazon package, they do such a great job of presenting football to you, whether it's the announcers or the camera shots, or in this case, what we're about to discuss with the graphics. All of it is so very good at such a high level, and I think football fans, they're getting what they deserve, a top-notch product. But I have to say, the presentation on Fox this year graphically has been so drastically different, and I appreciate their approach, and we're about to get to the Fox graphics in a second. You'll notice they're not here on your screen, but they're trying something so cutting edge that it's just not what people are used to, but it's also not terribly legible. It's not functional. Like, it's fashionable, but it's not actually functional. So let's first just recap what everybody's doing here. We've got CBS and their score bug, right? Like, easy to read here, white text on the team's background and colors. They're using a rectangle. They put this in the bottom of the screen, like, right here, bottom middle of the screen. Easy to read, easy to digest. They've got, the play information, the game clock, the play clock information, all of it right there. Dead center, easy to read. NBC is very similar. They're a little bit wider here. I don't know if they need the team's identifiers to go with the logos. So it's a little bit more corporate. It's a little bit more network news program style. I think NBC is due for a refresh, by the way, but they've got this clock thing here in the middle that turns different colors when the play clock gets low, and they try and keep, the text to a minimum. If it's 2nd and 5 for the Eagles, you don't see anything popping out down there below, and they can expand. They can push graphics off that way. They can push graphics off that way. All of these graphics packages very functional. I think my biggest criticism about the YouTube package is just a lot of white background on the screen. Maybe you don't need the identifiers. If you've also got the logos, what about all this dead space right there? But again, not a bad package overall. And then the Thursday night on Amazon Prime package, it's pretty slick. I've always said these weird kind of curves here just feel unique. I guess I'm okay with square and boxy for graphics, but I know it kind of matches their logo of the crest where it's got the TNF. That's kind of the Amazon Thursday night logo. So I get it. Like, I see what everybody is doing here, which makes it such a drastic departure when you see the NFL on Fox. Now, they debuted this earlier in the calendar year for the Super Bowl. And when they did that, people were instantly like, wait, is there something missing? Because there's nothing behind the numbers. And at that point, right, the team's identifiers was Philly on the left or the right, or was Kansas City on the right? I can't remember, but it was the identifiers and not even the logos. So they've already adapted. They've already changed and put the logos in there, but they've kept all of this to the point where it looks like if you use Adobe Photoshop, you're missing a layer. Like, it's missing a background layer. Even Baker Mayfield's stats here, 5 for 12, 45 yards so far early on in this game. It's got nothing behind it, and it doesn't always necessarily stand out. The biggest problem is this. Like, look at this game right here in Atlanta and look at on the field. Look what you've got behind those graphics. Just look at that section right there. Here's what I see. I see 30, I see 3, I see 7, I see 20 yards. I see all this information, but that is so cluttered. Like, I know you're probably watching on a phone. Maybe you're watching on a TV. Just do me one favor. Do this experiment right here, right now. Take a look at that part of your screen and take a look at that part right there, and just kind of blur your eyes for a second. It's hard to make that out. It gets hard to actually read all that from across the way. Now, I get it. It's not always, the field and the yard markers in the background. Sometimes it's just a nice green patch of grass, and this stands out and looks great. But other times it doesn't. And you should probably also prepare for the times it doesn't. I don't know why Fox insists on using this superimposed field graphic here. Obviously, it doesn't really say 3rd and 2 on the actual field. They're superimposing that and the play clock here, but they've got it literally right there on the graphics on the score bug, and they literally also superimpose it on the field. So you know what? You could clean this up by either eliminating that, which I'd be okay with, or do you even need that? I don't know that all the networks are superimposing it on the field anymore. Some do. I saw NBC doing it, but I don't know if that's entirely necessary. Look, I appreciate the approach at minimalism here, right? I like the fact that you don't need a background for everything, and you're trying to, here in 2025, when people are watching in 4K and they've got big screens and the resolution is great, I also think they could push that down even more on the screen. Like you're kind of still not using all that space down below. And every pixel matters. Every line of resolution matters. You could still push that down if you really wanted to be minimalistic, but can you read that instantly? At least the time and the quarter information, they have some background on it. Why would they think this should? Because it's smaller text, and this shouldn't have any background. Timeouts don't have any background on it either. I've noticed that Fox, at some point, on some of the games I've seen through the first couple weeks, some of the graphics packages they have in the different production trucks have a little bit more of a dark gradient kind of behind there to make this information pop. But I don't know that it's universal, and I don't know that it's across the board yet. Again, when the Fox graphics appear over green grass or a blurred background, they look fine. Like, this is easily read. That's legible. I can do all that. It's no problem, but it doesn't always work that way. To the point where, now that you've seen and understood maybe some of the criticism of the score bug and the overall graphics package, this is what happens when they highlight a player like Trey Hendrickson, right? So they pop him out. They've got his caricature right there. They give you the text. There's some background to it. Look, why is there background for this? Oh, because that makes it legible. Why not just do that? This is a simple fix. And this would be a weird week to do it because you've got Cleveland with orange and you've got the Bengals with orange, right? But put some different color backgrounds behind those scores. Like, I've got your fix right here, Fox. That's it. If you do that, a lot of people will say, oh, well, that's a good graphics package. That's normally what I would expect. This is still a minimalist look. It doesn't have a lot to it. It doesn't have gradients. It doesn't have like beveled edges. I appreciate simple. I'm somebody who wants to see the move to simple. But if you're making it too simple and not functional, that's when we've got a problem. And I think, by the way, I've screenshotted this off of a Jake Moody field goal attempt, 27 yards in Seattle. Did he make that one, or is that one of the ones he missed or got blocked? Anyway, I digress. But I think even here, when the timeouts are highlighted, that makes it easier to read. Or when there's something with a color in the background, that makes it easier to read. That 27-yard attempt, that pops way more than the time or the game clock and what quarter it is there on the screen. So look, I know we've got high standards. I know all the networks are doing this to a certain degree. I guess what I'm here to say is I appreciate Fox for trying to do something new, stand out, be different. And it's interesting, right? Because all these networks have different NFL graphics packages versus their college packages. They're not doing this with the college one. They probably should have experimented this on the college package first before they brought it to the NFL. I'm not upset with this. Like, it's okay. I appreciate you for trying, but at the same respect, I think that one still needs some work. Like, you can just improve on it a little bit, and you can still use this one for years to come. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments section below. Also, thumbs up while you're down there. That helps me, this video, and this channel. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button too. I would love to see you back here next time.